Paris, which is one of our favorite cities, to be able to visit, to come, and we're sad not to be able to do that this year. But it's been I think it's been a strange year. It's been tough in a number of ways, but I've also just been inspired by how resilient the folks at Facebook have been in adapting. As quickly as everyone had to shift to working remotely, I've been impressed by how much we've been able to get done. And I've also been impressed by how quickly and how dynamically a lot of the economy overall and small businesses around the world have shifted towards selling online, right? I think the internet has been really important in the last year, and our ability to help people has been something that I've been really proud of. But it has been nice over the last year to get to spend a little bit more time with my young girls. They're 5 and 3 years old now. It's been nice. I think they're used to us not traveling at this point. So when we get back to traveling and doing work, I think they're going to be kind of confused about what's going on. But it's been really nice to just be around and watch them grow up and get more time with them.
Yes, at least you have seen them growing up.
Yeah.
The world of internet has changed quite dramatically these last years. A lot of issues have emerged on privacy, on taxes, fake news, hate speeches. And Nick Clegg had a very deep, serious conversation with Nicholas Thompson from The Atlantic. And they have covered most of the issues. In my conversation with you, I'm obviously interested in those issues, but much more, as we have limited time, interested in the future of Facebook, the innovation that you are preparing. And before dwelling with those questions, maybe you would like to add something to what Nick has already said.
Well, I mean, I thought it was great that we were able to have 2 sessions here. I mean, Nick is really the guy to be able to speak to these issues. He leads the work at Facebook. These are areas that I take incredibly seriously, right? Balancing important social equities around free expression and safety and privacy and competition, and making sure our products promote well-being and are good for society and good for the world. And there are a lot of really complicated trade-offs that I think deserve more than just a few-minute answer, which is why it was great that Nick was able to speak to this. But he really is leading this work at the company, and has a lot of experience both in technology and as a statesman, and is I'm really grateful to have someone like him who can help us steer the ship on that.
Yes, I know that you are taking all those issues very seriously, and that is one of the reasons why I thought that it would be good to have 2 sessions. What I would like to do with you is to speak about 3 areas which I believe are quite interesting, and maybe they are shaping a little bit the future of Facebook. One is about shops. The other one is about AR and VR. For the people who don't know, AR is augmented reality, and VR, in my poor English accent, is virtual reality. And the last thing I would like to cover with you is creators. So let's start with shops. I'd like to know what has led you to create shops. What was the idea behind? And can you tell us a little bit how shops has been adopted? How many shops have been opened? How many operations are dealing with shops? How many subscribers or shoppers or users? Maybe you can tell us also if with shops you are starting a race or a competition with Jeff and Amazon.
Well, this is an area that I'm pretty excited about. There are more than 1 million active shops today, and there are hundreds of millions of people who are engaging with them. But what we're really trying to do is make it so that any business, and especially small businesses, can open up an online storefront across our whole family of apps, right? So you create a storefront once, and then today it's live in Instagram and Facebook. And over time, we want to get it so that it also can open up a shop inside WhatsApp and Messenger as well. And potentially in the future in any of the work that we're doing in virtual and augmented reality. So just kind of as a one-stop shop for doing that. And that's, it's been something that's been really important over the last year, because with all the lockdowns, a lot of physical storefronts have been closed, but online storefronts have stayed open. So what we've seen is a lot of commerce has shifted to online. It's been a lifeline for a lot of businesses. We've been proud to be able to provide this service during that period. It's still quite early. There's a lot more that we want to do here. But I think that e-commerce is just going to keep on growing. It's been massively accelerated in the last year, but I think it's going to keep on being an increasing trend. And shops should make it very easy for all kinds of businesses to engage with this, including all of the small businesses who haven't historically had all of the tools to build out sophisticated online presences like all the big companies have. For consumers, I think it also just makes the experience a lot easier and better. I think a lot of you have probably had this experience where, you see something interesting in an ad on Instagram or on Facebook, and you click on it, and it takes you to some website that now has lost complete context on who you are, right? So if you want to go pay for something, you have to enter in your credentials from scratch. It's not personalized to you at all. So part of the experience here is to go from discovering things in our social media apps to then just being able to go down the funnel and engage with the business more deeply and be able to buy things. I think that just, it makes the experience better for people. If people buy more things, that's better for businesses. It helps keep them afloat during this period. So it's a virtuous cycle, and it's something that we're just very excited about.
And is there any idea of competition with somebody else? Well, I don't know. A small e-commerce site called Amazon.
There's a lot of competition in a lot of these areas. It's yes. I don't think we're making a dent in Amazon yet. We partner with a lot more of the ecosystem. So we have a close partnership with Shopify, who also builds great tools to support businesses in growing on the internet. We've partnered with a lot of other companies like that. Our approach here has been to try to be pretty open and partnership oriented. We're not going to build all of the tools that businesses need in order to grow and sell online, but we build some really good ones where a lot of businesses can drive a lot of sales through our ad products. And if we can extend that by now enabling purchases and browsing directly, that would be great. But we're going to do that in partnership with a lot of companies.
Okay, now I will move to your favorite new priority. Augmented reality and virtual reality. Some years ago, I had tried the very first version of Oculus, and it was already quite impressive. And recently, your team helped me to try the new Oculus Quest 2 from Facebook. We will discuss one about the branding, but that is another conversation. And it's even more incredible. It is really made of thrill and emotions, and I must say vertigo. Wow, it was quite scary, and it's also a completely new experience. I don't know who in the room or who is connected and has already tried Quest 2. If they have not, I suggest that they do immediately, because it is quite impressive. But there is one criticism that I would like to make, which is the headset. It's a bit heavy, complicated to fix, and I'm sure that you see that it is a bit unnatural. So maybe there are new things that you are going to develop, new glasses. And can you tell us a little bit what it will be in your views, and is it shaping the future of Facebook?
Yeah, so virtual and augmented reality are areas that I am very excited about for the future. And the reason is that, what we are really focused on at Facebook is helping people connect, right? That's what I wake up in the morning and go to bed at night thinking about. And a lot of the experiences that I've wanted to be able to build around helping people connect with each other, even from before I started Facebook, you really need a technology that helps you feel like you're right there with another person in order to deliver those. So what virtual and augmented reality are all about is delivering this sense of presence, right? The feeling like you're really there in another place, and with another person, which is different from any other technology that we've had. When we're looking at our screens, and whether it's a phone or a computer, or we're doing this video chat, it's enough to give us a mild sense of presence, like we're there with each other. But we're basically, the whole time, we know that we're in a different place, and we're just trying to kind of trick our mind into thinking that we're together. Whereas with virtual and augmented reality, it really delivers the sense of presence. I mean, that's why you mentioned vertigo before. That's because your mind, you really felt like you were in a different place, and were afraid of falling off of whatever you were standing on, which isn't the main sensation we're trying to deliver in virtual reality, but it gives a sense of the type of presence that is possible, and how emotionally resonant that is. So there are a few different directions for this technology that we're excited about. One is virtual reality, which is what Quest 2 is. And that is basically a completely immersive experience where you're in it, and you feel like you're in a completely different place, a completely virtual environment. And then there's augmented reality, which is eventually going to take the form of a normal looking pair of glasses, which can put holograms in the world, and blend the digital 3D world, and give you a sense of presence there, while kind of still being in the physical world around you. So the holy grail there, is 5 years from now, when we're at a future version of Viva Tech together. If I can't make it to Paris, you'll have hologram Mark sitting on the couch next to you, or I'll have hologram Maurice sitting on my couch here in California, and when I want to show you what the next version of Quest or the augmented reality glasses are that we're working on, I'll just be able to snap my fingers, and here's a hologram version of it, and I can hand it to you, and you can touch it, and you can put it on and feel it. If we want to play a game, we'll be able to just snap my fingers. Here's the game. So it's going to be incredibly powerful. It already is in a lot of ways. VR with Quest 2 has reached an inflection point where it's now starting to take off a bit faster than even we expected. And a lot of the use today is games, right? Really immersive environments, media, games. But part of what is exciting to me is that we're also starting to see it branch out beyond that. A lot of the experiences are social experiences, people hanging out with each other, which at the end of the day is why Facebook is in this and why we're helping to build this. But we're also seeing things like fitness apps, whether that's Supernatural or FitXR or any of these things where you think about it like Peloton, where you have a subscription, but instead the device is VR, and you put on your headset and you're in this amazing environment, and you're doing a boxing class with an instructor or a dance class, and it's great cardio, but you're doing it with your headset. So it's quickly expanding beyond games into a bunch of other use cases, and we think that this is eventually going to be a big part of the next major computing platform after phones and after PCs. It's not like computers are going away or phones are going away, but I think that this has the potential to be something at that scale of importance in the world. And when it is, I just think these social experiences that we're going to be able to deliver through that, by having a real sense of presence with another person, are just going to be amazing. I mean, this is what I've been hoping that would exist for like 15 years now. So getting to play a role in helping to build this is certainly one of the most exciting things that I think we get to work on now.
Yes, I have experienced both. The virtual reality, where I have been transported in a place which was a new office with somebody else who was not there, by the way. Both of us were not in that office, but we were meeting, and it was giving me the feeling that the next future meeting of board meetings or kind of the client meeting or whatever can happen through virtual reality. But augmented reality is something which is also absolutely thrilling. The headset is going to change?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we've
Can you
just
tell us how it will be?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have just hit sort of the minimum threshold form factor that's going to be kind of a mass market device. I mean, this is, I think we've learned that it needs to do a few things. One is, in order for this to be widely adopted, it needs to be wireless, right? The early version of Rift, probably that you tried, had a wire, and so you could look around and you can see a world, and it could feel immersive. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to walk around through a space, or if you're trying to do fitness, you don't want to have a wire that like gets wrapped around you, right? I mean, so it really breaks the feeling of the sense of presence. But doing all of this wirelessly, delivering the technology to, we need to, and I think it's 10 milliseconds when you turn your head, render a complete image of the world before your eye can kind of refresh its vision, or else it feels very unnatural. So the computational problems here are just ones that there aren't many companies in the world that can deliver that kind of technology to build that. But the wireless piece is very important. Over time, it's going to have to get lighter and smaller too. For virtual reality, there are fewer constraints there because you tend to be doing it in your home or in an office, and you're not kind of like sitting there in a meeting with another person. But for augmented reality, that's where it gets really tough, because we're basically going to have to deliver all this technology in what will end up being a normal looking pair of glasses, right? So if you think about the technology problem here, we're basically trying to fit like a supercomputer into a pair of glasses that can do things like put holograms into the world and do all this 3D rendering that hasn't really ever been done before in this tiny form factor. And we have to deal with problems like not only getting enough compute power to be able to make that work, but having it not get so hot that it becomes uncomfortable on your face, and having it so that in a pair of glasses we can fit a battery that will last all day. So these are really interesting technology challenges. I actually think that these are some of the most challenging and important technology challenges of the next decade to be able to unlock. And so both from a social and experience perspective, and how interesting of a challenge this is to work on, it's something that I think is really exciting. And let me say one more thing on this is, while AR glasses of the type that I'm talking about don't exist yet, all the technology challenges haven't been worked out yet. I think we're still a few years away from this. One of the things that I am excited about is we're partnering with EssilorLuxottica to ship a pair of smart Ray-Ban glasses this year. So they're not going to be augmented reality glasses, but they're going to be smart glasses that basically look and feel like Ray-Bans, but can add a lot more technology and interesting use cases to that we'll get into at some point over the next couple of months. But I'm really excited for that collaboration, and I think that's going to be a great product too. And that's kind of on the path to the future that we're building here. And let me just say one more thing about the meetings, because having meetings in virtual reality is pretty amazing. One of the big pieces that we work on, it's not just the hardware platforms, it's the software platform around it. It's kind of helping to contribute to this vision that a lot of companies are calling the Metaverse, right? The idea that there are different universes or worlds that we'll all be able to teleport into, and we'll be able to do all these different things. And one of them is going to be work, right? One of the things that we're going to want to do is work, and you're going to want to have a virtual office where you can come into and have staff meetings and all that. And compared to video conferences, I actually think that even with the state of virtual reality today, there are a lot of reasons why it actually feels better to have meetings in virtual reality. For one, people are very spatially oriented. I kind of think about, we make memories based on, okay, I heard, you were on my right in this meeting, and I heard you talking from my right, and I looked over there and I saw the context of what was in the background. And we kind of lose that all when we're on video chat. We're just, there's a grid of faces, and everything kind of feels the same. And I find myself having a hard time remembering what happened in certain meetings because there's not really a sense of place, which is what you get in virtual reality. You feel like you're in a place with people. So that's already very powerful today. And I think some of the new kind of metaverse software that we and others are going to be helping to contribute to this overall vision will make it so that a lot of meetings and other use cases will be able to happen in VR quite well, I think, in the near term.
If we want to take maximum advantage of AR and VR, we need a platform with a lot of apps. I have experienced that we have the possibility of seeing movies or series or whatever from Netflix. We can also travel, we can have gamings, a lot of things are already on the library. How this will work? This means that you will have a lot of people who will come and have a reference of the app, and the app will be referenced, and people will be able to use it?
Well, I think that there are a few different kinds of things that are going to get built. So one is, the analogy of apps like we have on our mobile phones, right? Which is a developer will create a whole experience and you'll go into that experience. But I think another big part of this, that's part of this metaverse vision, is that we're also going to have a lot of digital goods. Whether it's clothing for yourself that will be digital, or it's when I was talking before about how if I wanted to show you a future model of Quest, I could have a hologram for that. That's a digital good. Or a future version of the Ray-Ban glasses, that's a digital good. I actually think, if you do this thought experiment, where walk around for a day and think about how many of the things that are in your life don't actually need to be physical and could be easily replaced by a digital hologram in a world where you had glasses. Basically any media, right? Any art, any screen, right? Any TV in the future won't need to actually exist physically. It could just be an app that your glasses kind of project onto a wall, and that can be shared among everyone who's your friends who's watching that. So that's going to unlock this whole creative economy where now instead of producing a TV or producing some kind of complex physical thing requires factories or a lot of materials. Any kid or developer or creator around the world is going to be able to do this with a set of 3D development tools and code, and they'll be able to sell their products without having to worry about logistics or shipping it around. So it all contributes to this bigger hope that I think we share with a lot of other companies to help bring about this creative economy. And I think my view on this is that any real positive vision for the future should involve a lot more people being able to do creative work that they enjoy than rather than just having to do jobs that maybe they have to do to make a living or that they don't find as rewarding. And in order to do that, you need to go beyond just delivering this awesome consumer experience. You also need to build tools that can help all of these individual creators and businesses make money, so that eventually millions and millions or tens of millions of people can make a living doing this. And that's how we make this something that doesn't just create an awesome user experience and create awesome social experiences, but creates an economic tide that helps create opportunity for people around the world. And I think that is equally exciting and something that I think we're going to see get unlocked over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yes, we will come back to the creators because I know that you are passionate about the creative industry and the fact that everyone can do a creative work and get some living out of it. And this is absolutely great for a lot of people. But maybe let's be a little bit more precise on before closing on AR and VR.
Sure.
How this will work for the consumer? This is something that they will get through subscription or pay-per-usage? Or how do you plan to make it accessible for the users?
So are you referring to the apps or the devices overall? Because, I guess the answer would be a little different.
Much more for the apps, because I guess for the device, it will be something that they will buy at a relatively cheap price in the future.
Yeah. So maybe it's worth actually going through both. I'll touch on the device quickly, which is our vision and mission at Facebook is to serve everyone in the world, right? So we're not a company that tries to build kind of luxury or products that we sell at a huge premium for a smaller set of people. We want to build something that's accessible to everyone. So, we're not looking at this in terms of thinking, okay, we're going to build this amazing technology. How much can we sell it for? We're looking at this and saying, okay, how cheap can we make this so that way as many people as possible can get access to? And that will mean basically we're going to be selling the devices either at the cost that it takes us to make them, or maybe we'll even subsidize them a bit in order to help get them in more people's hands. So that way, as many people as possible can experience this. And I think that's going to be a different approach than what other companies take. For apps, I think that they're going to be a wide range of different content. Some of it is going to be free. Some of it is going to be paid, where you pay up front. Some of it will be a subscription. A lot of these things, I think, will allow for commerce around digital goods within the apps. So if you think about some of these metaverse experiences that I'm talking about, I mean, a lot of this, we and other developers are probably going to want to make getting into those worlds free, but then make it so that people can buy different goods within them. And a lot of the goods, it's not just going to be us. It's not going to be us selling them as just kind of one seller. We want to enable a whole marketplace of that, so you can buy things from other developers as well. So it's going to be all of these different models. But ultimately, I think in order to support the creative economy and to support the type of development and talent that is going to exist in virtual and augmented reality, there are going to need to be a lot of different business models. Not everyone does just one thing. I didn't mention advertising, but of course that's an incredibly important part of this, and an area where we have a lot of strength that we can bring to helping creators and developers monetize as well. But right now, if you compare the size of virtual and augmented reality to mobile phones or even game consoles, it's a lot smaller. Which means that if you're a developer and you're choosing today, where should I go develop to make the most money? We really need to make the monetization work in order to earn the time and attention and focus of the best developers to build content for these new platforms. And I think that's working really well now. I think that there's something like 50 or 60 different developers or titles that have made more than $1 million, right? So that you're definitely starting to see that take off and do well for a lot of different types of developers. But over time, it's going to be the sum of a lot of different ways that they can make money that is going to enable the kind of economy that we need to have take place here.
It looks like you will have a kind of competition. You will have collaboration or cooperation with a lot of creators, and you will be also competing with some well-established entertainment or gaming companies. So it will be quite interesting to watch. Let's go back.
Yeah, that's definitely right.
Yeah, and you will have a platform with a lot of apps. This reminds me something else, maybe not very far from where you are. Let's go back to the creators. And I know that this is very dear to your heart, and it's something that you really are caring a lot about. And you have started to explain what you want to do. I think it's fantastic, because a lot of people have great ideas. They would like to make them real and to make some living out of them. Maybe you can tell us, why have you started to think about the creators? What has been the trigger which led you to think that you have to offer that kind of solution to the creators? And how do you believe that they will be coming and developing a lot of work, and what kind of living they can make out of it?
Yeah, so I think there are a number of different trends in the world that have kind of led us to focus on this. One is just that I think we're seeing social media become more of an economic opportunity for a lot more people. But there are hundreds of millions of small businesses who use our services that in ways that they tell us are really important for making a living for them and keeping their businesses sustainable. And we think that that's going to be true increasingly for kind of individuals doing creative work as well. And we kind of consider a creator to be a business that is basically a personality, right? And who is producing content. And it could be any kind of content. It could be you're an independent writer. It could be you're producing videos. It could be that that you stream playing games, right? So there are a whole lot of different. You're an influencer in a certain area. That and you've built up a community using groups or some other tools. And we want to make it so that all of these different groups of people can make a living doing this, right? I mean, the content that they're producing fuels important online communities that people care about, but it is hard to make. It requires people who are talented, who dedicate a lot of their time to it, and a lot of these people, maybe they have another job somewhere, but in the future, this is really their passion, is what they want to work on. So if we can make it so that they can sustain making a living and doing well across our services, then we think we can enable a lot more creative work. We think that's a kind of more compelling version of the future economy, which is one where people get to do creative work that they like. And it also will benefit our services, because then there will be more creative content and better communities across what we're doing. So, we try to do this not just focused on one type of media. There are other services like YouTube, right, that might focus on video, and I think are doing quite good work on this. But the defining aspects of Facebook and some of our platforms are we try to support all different kinds of media. And so, earlier this week, I announced that for game streamers, we were starting to roll out fan groups. So that way, when they basically have, when they're not in the act of streaming a game, their community can get together and talk, and they can kind of help grow and nurture that community even when they're not kind of getting them together to play games. And we've launched a whole bunch of features around stars that people can tip and give money to their favorite creators, and subscriptions. But that's just one type of area. Another area that I'm really excited about, that we have something coming very soon, is around independent writers, where we want people to be able to make a living, not just writing content on Facebook, but off Facebook too. So there's been this whole trend around newsletters, and we think that that's going to be really important. And we're building a service there that's going to start rolling out soon, that where we're very focused on giving independent writers not only great tools to plug into our services, but portability. So that way, people feel like, okay, I can take my email list and I can take it to another service if I want. I can take my list of people who subscribe to me over here, and I can build a community in another service if I want, right? To use a different groups app if I don't want to use Facebook groups for that. So I think that kind of portability is helping to build up this whole ecosystem in a way that I think will be very valuable, because all of these different tools and business models are ultimately going to be necessary to reach this goal of supporting millions of people making a living doing this kind of creative work over the next 5 to 10 years. But it is an area that I'm very excited about. And we're very dedicated to doing this across not just one type of content, but all the different types of content. And I think increasingly, a lot of creators are going to want to do multiple. We're seeing for some folks who are independent writers, they're increasingly doing podcasts too. And when you subscribe to them, you're getting a subscription not only to their newsletter, but also to their newsletter and podcast. So being able to do both of those on one service, that's going to be really valuable. And we're going to see more stuff like that going forward too.
Mark, you look like being fearless or unconscious, or both, because with shops, you are already transforming the business of a lot of small businesses which are in need of having something which is easy to run. With AR and VR, you are changing the world, or at least in a few years' time, and competing with maybe some other big guys in the valley. Then with the creators, you are not only dealing with culture, you are dealing with entertainment, with gaming, with a lot of people who are eager to develop and to create something. How many hours do you work a day?
Well, we have a great team. So, so I probably work a lot, but these are all team efforts, right? We have great people running each of these things, and part of what I'm grateful for is that because we've built such a strong community and such a strong business, we can go have, for example, we have 10,000 people working on virtual and augmented reality and all of that work. So we believe deeply in this. We're investing billions and billions and billions of dollars in it to build something that we think will contribute to a compelling future, 5 to 10 years from now, once all these things reach some kind of scale. But it is exciting getting to work on some things that I think are really important trends for the future. But also, I feel like we have a responsibility to do that. We're kind of running this business, and I don't think we should just sit here and try to, get as many people as possible to use our current things and make as much money and just call it a day, right? I think the goal should be to build great services and then take whatever success that we have and try to reinvest that into building even more great services for the future. And I think that there are a number of good companies that do that, but I don't know, maybe having 10,000 people work on virtual and augmented reality is a particularly extreme version of kind of reinvesting to try to go build the future. But I don't know, that's how I'm oriented. I really want to make sure that we're always helping to invent and build the next thing.
It shows that you are excited by this. We have the feeling that you are much more excited by this, but what you have been with the social networks. We see the passion when you are talking about these new areas. Mark, a great thank you. You have been extremely generous with your time. We are supposed to speak for only 30 minutes. I have cheated a little bit, and I'm pleased to have done it because we got some passionate ideas coming from you, and how excited you are about this new development. So thank you. You are a great friend, and I'm extremely happy to have been with you. A round of applause for Mark Zuckerberg, and make a lot of noise if you want him back in Paris. More noise. Mark.
Thank you, Maurice.
So great to have you. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the conference. Yeah.
And see you next time in Paris. Thank you. So thank you all. Merci beaucoup. And tomorrow we have, again, great sessions. Among the sessions that we will have, there is one that I'm very excited about. In fact, there is two. One which has been planned, which is with Brad Smith. Another one with Dan Schulman. And one which was not expected, which is with Eric Schmidt, who has been the long-time CEO and chairman of Google. And